Everybody, is Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and we're in the 3.5 Monster Manual, and we're getting closer and closer to the end. And today we're on the Nymph. It's a medium fae. They are the embodiment of nature's beauty. They have the ability to blind people intentionally. If they look at them, they'd have to fail save versus that. They have something called Unearthly Grace, which they add their charisma modifier to their saves and as a deflection bonus to armor class. And they have some spell-like abilities, Dimension Door, and they cast spells like a druid. They also can stun people with a look. So there's a lot going on with these. But the important thing is that she is naked and in the water, and that's what we're going to try to capture. There are other types of nymphs besides her, but she is the book example. So I think that we want something with kind of long hair that's supposed to be pretty looking. So I think that we can do something with her, maybe. Let's cut her legs off right above the knees. And try to do something with her. So what I think to do is to capture the fact that she's in water. Instead of using my normal method with baking soda, I'm going to try to make some water looking stuff here. Okay. There we go. I'm going to stick her in there. Slide her around a little bit till she seems good and stuck, even for the middle of the base. Then I'm just going to get this minor burning hand spell. There we go. Something like that should do nicely. Look how bendy she gets when you get her all hot. So I think this would work well for what we want. And we want to, there's some kind of fabric on the front of her. So where's my t-shirt pieces? I have no t-shirt pieces laying here. Of course not. Okay, let me get some scissors. We'll cut off a sleeve from the shirt. And we'll make this into that fabric that she's got draped across her. Though I don't think we really need it for this. That's adventure music. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. It's too long. La 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 la. La 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 la. When the day is dawning on a Texas Sunday morning, how I long to be there. Sweet Marie, who is waiting for me there on a lonely highway where I hang my hat. That did not work. Ain't half as pretty as where my baby is at. Is this the way to Amarillo? Every night I've been hugging my pillow, dreaming dreams of Amarillo. Sweet Marie who waits for me. And the song of joy we'll be singing. And her guy who's waiting to see her on the lonely highway. Is this the way that I am over low? Every night I've been hugging my pillow. Alright, that's a little bit too much. So what we're going to do, I'm going to fold that back in half and thin it out a little bit more. And make it just kind of like a poncho. Oh, I tore it. Alright. Can we make that work though? No, it's too much still. Maybe it's best not to even put it on, truth be told. I mean, I like my miniatures to be PG though, and I really don't want to have to paint nipples. That's just not going to work. All right, I'm going to call that a fail. I'm going to leave it go. Sometimes you just got to kind of deal with whatever you get, and that's the situation we're in. We're just going to deal with it. So I'm going to get a wire brush. Just give her a light scratch up to make sure paint sticks nice. Oops, I pulled her right out of the glue like a dumbass. To make sure she stays in there, there is a way to do that. Let's get a little dab of glue. I think that's, of course, it's glued shut. Why wouldn't it be? All right, that must be empty. When the day is dawning on a Texas Sunday morning, I want to be there. Sweet Marie, who's waiting for me there on the lonely highway where I hang my hat. Do-do-do-do-do. Ain't half as pretty as where my baby is at. Okay. I'm just going to clean up that little bit of glue I smeared on her chest, or on her crotch. Alright. So I'm going to hit her with the black spray real quick, and we'll be right back. I'm not turning the camera off. I'm just walking up behind me here. Where I have my little paint booth set up. That's all I'm doing. I'll be right back. All right. How long to be there? With sweet Maria, who's waiting for me there. If it was only city where I stinky bap. These guys can go back in a HeroClix box. Alright, now there's some spots I missed on her. So we're going to use a really thin black paint, and this is just watered down craft paint, and get in those little crevices, because we don't want to overspray her too much. That's going to create problems that we have to deal with. We don't want to do that. So to keep things simple, we're going to get a really soft brush, some pretty thin watered paint. And we're just going to get in here and manually paint anything I missed with the spray. we'll just touch up all that down there to get rid of the excess paint. So we want it to be thin. We don't want it to be on her thick and gloppy. Okay. When the day is dawning on a Texas Sunday morning, I will long to be there. Sweet Maria, who's waiting? So a nymph could be awesome. So say there's a grove of druids or something, or some kind of nature-related beings, whatever they are, that are working with your party in some way. You can use a nymph as kind of like a baby quest giver even. You know, hey, we know about this lady that lives up on this, you know, we know about this, probably don't tell them it's a nymph. We know about this lady that lives up on this hill, and she's pretty amazing, and she knows all kind of things and stuff, you know. Just give them a little, like, intro thing, so they can become homies. And then explain that she lives in the water and be mysterious about it. Maybe, like, if you've seen or read or seen King Arthur stuff, Lady of the Lake kind of vibes. And then have her be just utterly beautiful, but make every member of the party, even if it's female, unless, of course, if you're playing with kids, don't be creepy. Maybe make them all feel like there's some kind of connection, like everyone might be falling for her, but she's falling for everyone. But you'd want to try to do it in a way that you can separate everybody and put them in different areas, so you can go over this kind of intense stuff without, like, I don't mean be sexual, but I mean like, hey, you know, you get the impression that she really likes you, and then maybe be calling our party member out like, hey, you know, she knows this, and she told you this, and you get the impression that she really likes you. And, you know, maybe give each of them a pertinent information that she's communicated through body language or something that helps the adventure, but at the same time tell them individually you think that. And even the female characters do this with, it's important that this is just a raw sexual being, not just a man trap. That's one thing you got to remember when you're doing these kind of things. Don't exclude your female players, and even if they're not interested in lesbianism or anything like that, or any kind of same-sex sexual activity, it doesn't mean that connection that's provided by this type of creature doesn't in some form impact them, you know? But using something like this as a quest giver to know where a magic item could be or something is awesome, and it's going to give people like especially people that know about Arthur and Arthurian legends, it's going to give them like a throwback kind of like vibe to things they've watched and read and stuff. And that kind of sometimes is a big payoff in things like this. So she's pretty good here. I think I'd like to hit her one time with a pure white that's not dirtied up with that, like that brush was. So I'm just going to get one more dab of this white here. This is Snow White. It's a different white. And it seems to be, even though it's cheap, it seems to be good for this kind of stuff. Okay, there we go. So now that we have paint on her, you can see that she has some kind of clothing on. I thought that clothing had no seams, and I was kind of worried we'd have to paint nipples, but we aren't going to have to. She does come with some generic clothing, so that's going to give us the opportunity to ignore nippling this poor lady. All right, flesh tone. So what I want to do for flesh tone is I want to get some tape. And tape's not porous, so cardboard absorbs moisture from paints, so you can use this as a palette. And you don't have to worry too much about this soaking into the tape. It's going to stay on top here. And yeah, you would say, Doom, grab your wet palette. Yeah, I could, but that's not what I'm about right now. I got this brush slightly damp with my saliva. I use my mouth on my brush. Yes, I'm a barbarian, I know. But I've been doing it for so long, and I just feel like it's super reliable, and I don't have to worry about dipping it in nasty water that's like overdone. And I'm just going to get this really light, nice looking flesh tone base here. think this is going to look good when we're done. It says they have a coppery colored hair. And when I think of coppery color, like on a human being, real person, I think of like a very shiny kind of hair color, like a very shiny, darkish to medium brown, but maybe with a reddish tint to it. I'm not sure how we're going to capture that on a miniature exactly, so we're going to have to figure that out as we go here. Sweet Marie who waits for me. How long to be there? Sweet Marie who's waiting for me there. And the guy who's waiting to see her. Alright, so now I'm going to rinse out my brush in some soapy water. And this is called skeleton bone. It's a tan, like a tannish, ugly tan, brownish tan, kind of, I don't know what color. I'm going to grab some of that and some of this. I'm going to make a lighter tone. And wipe a lot of that off. I'm going to come back and touch along that flesh. And that does two things. One, it takes away some of that pinkish color that barbarian flesh has. To an extent. You still leave it under there as the undertone. But it makes it a more realistic skin tone looking color for sure. See, already looks softer and better. And you're going to get a little bit more of that. We're going to do that same thing one more time. And just make it even a little bit lighter. I'm going to wipe a lot of that off. And you're just going to touch her forehead, her nose, her cheeks. Not perfectly. Tops of her shoulders. Her biceps a little bit. The outer part of her forearm a little bit. Tops of her hands. Where light would hit her thighs on the best. And then just on the outside, the back of her leg that's canted outwards a little bit. I'm going to come back, touch those shoulders a little more. Something like that. Okay. This miniature has a very manly face. So for her apparel, I assume she would be wearing like poor people or, you know, peasant like kind of attire. I'm going to get this monster brown here. It's a light brown, medium to light brown. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get it spread out so it's not overwhelming on my brush. I'm going to come in here and capture her outfit with that the best I can without touching all that skin we worked hard to hit. And if there's a little bit of the seam around the skin, like where the skin and the clothing meet, and you leave that a little dark from the original paint, that's going to be good. That's going to serve your goal. Okay. I'm going to get behind her arms and back here under her hair on her back. Even though I don't think that's going to be a focal point that you'll really even notice. But hey, let's just get it to be safe. Okay. Then we're going to take some of that and that again. We're going to lighten that up. And we're going to just kind of touch on the top of her breasts, right in the middle of her belly, across her crotch piece there, and on the top of her butt cheeks. And that's just going to lighten that up to a more appropriate kind of... I'm going to get a little more of this. Well, actually, I'm going to use mummy robes this time. And I'm going to get that same color that we had there. I'm going to lighten that up a little bit more. Then I'm just going to do the tops of her boobs again, but not as much as I did that time. Barely drag it across her stomach, the cod piece, and the tops of her butt. And this time I'm not going all the way to the outsides. I'm just doing the center parts of the top of her butt, okay? And I think that's going to work for her clothing. Let's wash that brush out. And let's talk about this belt. It looks metallic. So what I want to do is I think I want to give it like a blue. I have a blue metallic up here. And I'm going to do her belt and her wrist guards and that. And we're starting to get somewhere with her. Kind of like to leave her hair white and do it like a white or a gray, but this is not just a woman standing in the water. This is the embodiment of nature beauty, the nymph. Okay, so I'm going to get this Admiral Blue. Not Admirable, Admiral. And I'm going to paint around her waist with this thin brush first. Very carefully. And attempt to get very little bit on the model, except for on this little bit of glue I accidentally drug up onto her leg. Okay. And I could switch to a bigger brush right now and make this easier. I did get some up on her legs. I didn't want to. It's okay. We're gonna make that just part of the paint job. Just coming back and trying to fix those tiny little spots is just gonna be a back and forth nightmare. And you know what I'm talking about. You've all done it. You made a mistake. You go back to fix it. Then you made the mistake too much in the other way, and then you bounce back and forth, ultimately deciding that it's not worth the effort, and never truly fixing the problem. This is called Blue Kazoo. This is just a Craft Smart or a apple barrel paint. It's got like a wisp of purple to it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to smear that around. And then while everything's still wet, I'm going to focus on the higher parts a little bit. But then I'm just going to kind of touch it and drag it down into the other. I'm going to go around the base and just kind of jag around and hit some spots on the outside there. I'd like to do that a little bit more. So I'm more focused on just dabbing it on the top parts to create a difference of undertone for the dry brush portion of this water. I'm going to drag it around. I hit it up on her leg there. And right under her butt. Okay. I'm going to hit her with a +2 hot air gun at burning real quick. Let that water start to dry. Take this. Just dip my hand in the paint. Looks pretty dry. Alright, so for her hair, I think the easiest approach would be to use a speed paint, but I'm not sure how nice I can make that look. So maybe a speed paint with a dry brush of an orange, or an orangish red on it, I don't know. But I'm going to get this hardened leather color. I'm not going to get too much of it. Making sure my brush is damp. And I feel like if you keep this thin enough and you don't go too thick, this is actually a good color for what we're trying to get here. Like, yeah, hardened leather. I think that looks pretty good for what it was, you know, kind of what I was trying to capture, really. I hate to ruin that, but we can see how that turns out. So there's just a little piece of hair on her arm there that I couldn't get well. Okay. We're going to have to get that monster brown again real quick, though, because catastrophe has struck us here. And there's a little bit of white showing on the edge of her boob. There we go. Let me check the other side. Okay, it was just on that one side. All right. All right, let's do some eyebrows. Oh, look, we messed them all up. Darn, darn. Yes, she does have a unibrow right now, but we'll fix that in a minute. You can use that to just touch that up. Remember, if you do it on one side, you got to do it on the other. And we're going to lighten that up and come back and hit that again on the nose, the cheeks, and that forehead. So she kept her eyebrows and she has eyes now, and I'm pretty happy with that. All right, well, I think we just have to do some cleanup work on this water, and she's going to be an okay miniature. She's going to be perfect, not by any means, but she'll be decent. I lost one of my little speed paints here. Nope, no, I didn't. Never mind. So I didn't put something away. All right, let's get this going, and let's get our cardboard back. And let's get a medium blue, now that that blue is all dry. This is called turquoise. It's a blue with a tinted green in it. Because she's in a river or something. She's not, you know, out in the ocean for me. So these kind of lighter colors I think will be better. So I'm going to drag that around. I'm going to hit the edge of the base and the tall parts with that real quick. And then in some spots, if we can, we don't want to paint the whole blue part, but we want to push it down in and capture some of that area, reclaim it for the light. And then we're just going to do it kind of around in spots on the outside the base, but not everywhere. Okay, now we're going to get our white. A little bit light. Something like that. We're going to touch around and provide a little bit different variation with that. Okay. We're going to get a little bit more of that. Okay. I'm going to touch the very tops of the elevated water portions. Cool, that'll work. So that's the I'm gonna do one little touch up on her face because there's like a wonky spot where it bled through a little bit. I'm just getting my teeny tiny brush for that. Since I already have that kind of already mixed and working out for me at the moment, I'm just going to take a little bit more of that, actually. I'm just going to do her shoulders again real quick. Her biceps, her outer upper arms, back of her hands, and a little bit on that one thigh. And that's it. All right, she's done. All right, so when she's dry, I'm going to set her in front of the fan. When she's dry, I'm going to hit her with the +2 hot air gun of burning. And, no, I'm sorry, I'm done with the +2 hot air gun. I'm going to hit her with a clear coat. And then I'll take her upstairs, throw her on the turntable, and spend 60 seconds trying to justify why you should have a nymph in your campaign. Thanks for watching. Please hit like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon. Leave me a comment. I really, really love that. That's super good. I like answering the comments. The person who told me that my Minotaur was badass, thank you. I thought it so. As far as homemade miniature goes, it was definitely in the top tier, you know, of quality. I was pretty pleased. So thank you very much. I know just cutting and painting a hero click isn't anything to do, but for the ones where I have to kit bash some stuff together and make things work and fit and get a good scale and not be cartoony and dumb, that can be tough. So when someone says, hey, that's badass, you know, and the people that liked yesterday's Nightwalker, hey, you know what? I actually did, and I'm really excited to use that mini. It came out super well. Who'd have thought that a Final Faction toy could look like that, right? We really lucked out on that. Thank you. For the next video, I'm not going to be in the monster manual. I have this skull I bought at Dollar Tree, and I was thinking about trying to make a cave entrance or something with that. So I think that's what I'm going to do next. Maybe. We'll see. All right. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. In the links to this, there'll be in the description, there'll be links to the website where you can buy some of our minis off us if you want to do that, and our Discord if you want to come hang out, ask questions, craft, draw, paint, whatever, play video games. We'll be there. Hey, thanks for watching.